A very good evening to you. Thanks for joining us on the Thursday edition of the show. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Well, tonight on the show, we will dedicate a lot of time to talk about the crucial 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifier. It's the Super Eagles of Nigeria against South Africa's Bafana. We'll talk about that as we move on the show. Of course, we'll continue with our countdown to the 2024 European Championships. We'll also be eagerly anticipating England's squad, the Three Lions, for the 2026 Euro Championships. Some players have already been told they will not be going. Okay, we will also talk about the Federation Cup. We will also talk about things happening in the English Premier League. Manchester City is of course, challenging the Premier League, asking a few questions. We'll be talking about that all for you on the show. All right, this is a two-man show. My colleague Austin Okonakpan is ready as we take you across the modern spinning world of sports.
Of course, everyone joining us on the show tonight. Still an action-packed world of sports. Yes, me right here in England. There are divided opinions over Gareth Southgate's choice to drop Manchester City midfielder Jack Grealish. Some believe that Grealish, yes, through the second half of the season didn't get enough playing time and didn't, impress. Others believe he should have, some way, somehow, be kept in the team because he knows, how to, turn it around for England. It's not just Jack Grealish that is missing in that list. It's also Harry Maguire, who Gareth Southgate has kept faith with over the years, but Maguire couldn't make the list. Surprise, surprise, 19-year-old Manchester United midfielder Kobbie Mainoo made the list.
All right, we'll talk about all of that as we go on the show. And, of course, you would understand if we start with the Super Eagles of Nigeria. We have to. It's the big one, of course, match day 3 in the qualifiers. It's upon us, of course, 8 p.m. tomorrow in Uyo. The Super Eagles of Nigeria will take on South Africa's Bafana. First, let's start you off with the match details for that crucial encounter. It has happened before. We're hoping it doesn't happen again. Hoping that Thunder doesn't strike in the same place twice. They've beaten us before. They've beaten us in that venue before. I hope it doesn't happen again. All right, let's quickly give to you. I'm very sure it's going to come up on your screen shortly. The match details of the game. Already told you it's going to be played 8 p.m. Tomorrow. The game is going to be in Uyo at the Goduswil Akpabio Stadium. That's where the Super Eagles of Nigeria and Bafana will trade tackles. All right, while we're getting set to get that across to our viewers, Austin, let me ask you this. The threats or the danger of a loss which could derail the campaign of the Super Eagles, do you feel it in the air? Okay, maybe I'll just quickly run through this, then I'll get Austin in and share my opinions with him as well. Like I said, game is going to be tomorrow, Friday, June 7, 2024. Time is 8 p.m. Venue is the Godswill Akpabio Stadium in Uyo. Is a 30,000 seater capacity, that stadium. The referee is Alhadi Mamat of Chad. He's from Chad. He will be refereeing that game. All right. Also, let me quickly get your thoughts from most of the people who are listening to the issue of rivals. They're putting it on one side, but they feel the threat of a loss or not getting 3 points is hanging in there somehow.
Yes, it is, and we were talking about this the last time on the show when you wanted to know if we can consider South Africa a rival now, and I struggled to put South Africa into that mix. But I think a day after, now that I've gone back to look at this team again, to see how they're approaching the game, to see that, it favors them right now in the qualifiers than Nigeria, then we must be very, very careful. We cannot, the Super Eagles of Nigeria cannot afford to lose that game or even drop points. As I said, they need to show unity of purpose. They also need to come out to show that they want to win back the loyalty of the fans, the love of the fans. They've been campaigning. They want to go to the Godswill Akpabio Stadium in Uyo. They have that venue now. They believe they can express themselves better on a good pitch. Let's see what they can do. But they cannot, I repeat it again, there cannot be any room for complacency because South Africa is a very decent team. They've grown over the years. We saw them at the AFCON. It was really tight when they played Nigeria, and it took the lottery of penalties for us to beat them. I think they're a better team now because they must have gone back to take a look at it. They believe with everything that they've done as a country, the investments, the commitments that they put into their football, they have a right to qualify for the World Cup. But they have Nigeria standing in the way now tomorrow, and they need to show workings. And I think the Super Eagles know that also. I was right there in Uyo in 2014 when, before we could understand what was going on, South Africa 2, Nigeria 0. It took Sonia Aluko to score a brace to make it 2-2, but it wasn't good enough, and that stopped Nigeria from qualifying for the 2015 Africa Cup of Nations. That cannot happen again, not at that venue. And the fans, what I'm getting back home in Uyo, the Akwa Ibom State capital in South Nigeria, the fans are ready to come out to support the Super Eagles, to push them all the way. Lightning, as you said, must not strike twice on that ground. And that's why I'm rooting 100% for the Super Eagles to go out there, show workings, beat South Africa, take them back to that position where we are there, where we can confidently say, this South African team, they are our babes. That's what they should do tomorrow.
All right, I'm hoping Lightning doesn't strike in the same place twice. I can't forget 2017, my junior brother's wedding, rushed from my junior brother's wedding to watch the Super Eagles play. It was horrific. We lost 2-0, and I still, in my head, could remember Daniel Akpeyi rushing out and, all the guys trying to chase the South African guy. And I hope it doesn't happen again. It's something that will always linger on, but it's a different Super Eagles and better prepared Super Eagles, a different squad, a stronger squad. So we'll see what happens. But we're hoping to have a robust conversation. Some of the guys will join us as we go on. But also the South Africans, they're here, they're ready. And I like the way they've approached these things. They're not distracted. I know they are saving whatever they want to say till after the game. And I know they will have a lot to say if they get a result. I'm hoping they don't. But talk a little about how they've approached this. There's something about the South Africans. Well, talk about organization and everything. There's this calmness about them. No noise, no issues. They come in and they look organized.
Well, yeah, but there's been some administrative issues, and the NFF, they've been trying to clear it, mix up about their departure time from South Africa. They were supposed to land in Lagos, but due to the delays, they were redirected to land in Port Harcourt. The NFF said that they did just enough to make sure that they were kept in hotel rooms and they were fine for them to start making the trip back to Uyo, the Akwa Ibom State capital in South Nigeria today. They were supposed to leave yesterday, but couldn't get clearance to land in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. You know what? Let's go to Uyo as respected football journalist, doctor, that's how he's addressed these days. Promise Etim is waiting to join us on the show. Good evening, Promise. Welcome to Sports Tonight.
Good evening.
Awesome. You're right there in Uyo. I'm sure you're seeing the action, you've seen the players, a lot of talking points. What's the mood like in Uyo, particularly that we know there's a crunch encounter tomorrow between Nigeria and South Africa?
Because the actually at stake. And of course, the Super Eagles, if we fail to get a victory tomorrow, they could start doing the South Africa play Zimbabwe in the next month, and you know what that means, because basically they will get the better of the Zimbabweans. And also, there's also a big game involving Benin and Ghana currently ongoing as we speak. As regards the Ghana lead this group by 4 points, the 2 games, they positive goal difference of 2. So that's some sort of danger, because if the Super Eagles fail to get something out of this game, maximum 3 points, we could be waving the wall. Canada, and of course US bye-bye. That's certainty. So the fans understand how relevant this game is, and there's been lots of campaigns, some sort of awareness on social media, on TV, on local radio stations, and even stations that are closer to Bible.
All right. So, listen to Promise Etim there talking about the Super Eagles and, of course, the mood right there in Uyo. We'll get more from him even as we go on the show. He has situated properly what's going on right there as the fans expect the big one. Let me quickly go back to Austin and throw in this. Like I said, we're going to have a robust conversation around the game. And now that we're beginning to accept the South Africans as rivals, something Promise said there, if we don't get 3 points tomorrow, would you still feel we can qualify for the World Cup?
I think we can, because there's the playoffs, but with what we've seen of the Super Eagles team, it will be disappointing if we don't make it out of that Group C table. Really disappointing. In fact, heartbreaking, because let me remember what we went through and failed to qualify for the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar. I think the team, they've been through enough brain damage and then went through surgery, and now they're trying to get back into it again. So I think we should try hard not to talk about not winning tomorrow. Maybe South Africa might complain negative football and it might end in a draw, which I don't think will happen. But we should just keep talking about the fact that we know that Nigeria needs to win that game. Because if you take a look at the Group C table, it's so disappointing that Rwanda tops that table, followed by Benin Republic and then South Africa. And Nigeria in fourth, and there's Lesotho and Zimbabwe. And after 2 matches, the Super Eagles struggled to get just 2 points. That's really, really disappointing. We shouldn't be having Nigeria in this sort of analysis. So yes, with the number of teams qualifying from Africa, one can still say, if something goes wrong, they can still pick themselves back up and make it to the 2026 FIFA World Cup. But as I said, with everything that I've seen with this team from when we failed to qualify for the World Cup in Qatar, and the little adjustments that we've tried as a country to do with the team and what they showed us at the last AFCON, we just hope that they can sustain the momentum. And truly, that's what they need to do. And that's why I keep saying the NFF did the best that they could in ensuring that Coach Finidi George continues with the team. Because I tell you this, if they had said, okay, let's bring in someone new, and then the person comes with a new philosophy, with a new style of play, trying to get the players to blend, trying to get them to understand themselves again, and they don't understand the mission, then it will be a problem. But Finidi has been in the setup. So they are all preaching the same message, and it is consolidate on your performance at the AFCON and show that you're really sorry for picking just 2 points out of 2 matches when you know you're playing a crucial World Cup qualifier. You see how I've tried so hard not to talk about Nigeria not winning tomorrow, because if we do not win, I doubt I'll be on the show tomorrow night if we don't win the South Africa.
But you will be, because the show would have started and the game will be going on. All right, let me get to Promise a quick one. Promise is still with us, but what do you think the Super Eagles need to do? I need a quick response from you. What do you think the Super Eagles need to do to win that game? Because it does appear if South Africa gets a draw, at least, it's still a good result for them. It's not a good result for us. So that means they might come and probably try to lock up shop, whatever. But if they come that way, what do you think the Super Eagles need to do?
The Super Eagles need to be very clinical. And the South Africans, taking in mind back to what happened in the Nations Cup, the opportunities we had in that encounter, we made a meal out of those opportunities. And for the South Africans who been very, very cagey, raspy, very, very defensive sort of game. We need to be quite.
Okay.
Something out of possible partnership between him and of course Victor, because those are the two lady can see to.
All right. Yeah. So, I mean, Thomas has been giving us his thoughts, and I do agree with him. We need to take our chances when we have them. You would be forgiven if you think it's only the Super Eagles that will be in action, but all other African countries are playing as well. So, I'll go across the screen in a bit just to let you in on the other countries playing. And I mean, the guys are still with me. I'm still here as well to probably talk about the ones to look out for, but trust me, our hearts and minds with the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Go across now and take a look at the matches to be played. Well, in no particular order, Zimbabwe will take on Lesotho, the Atlas Lions of Morocco will take on the Chipolo Polo of Zambia, the Elephants of Cote d'Ivoire will be up against Gabon, the Cranes of Uganda will be up against Botswana, Madagascar will be up against Comoros. These are the games that you're going to see tomorrow on the African continent. Matches to be played, interesting matches. I dare say Angola will take on Eswatini, used to be Swaziland. Mozambique will take on Somalia. Kenya will take on Burundi. A lot of interesting matches to be played in that one. Also, let me come back to you quickly, and maybe you will still have a question or two for Promise, still on the Super Eagles. It is scary, and I know you are avoiding that. It is scary to imagine the end of that game without Nigeria on 5 points. It is scary. It's a thought that I don't want to entertain. But as journalists, we have a job to do. Those are the 3 possible outcomes of a football game. So if you're looking at probabilities, over 30%. It's not something you can ignore. Do the South Africans have the quality to leave Uyo with a point or even a win?
No, they do, 100%. And they've kept that team together for quite some time. So the only motivation they are using to get into that game tomorrow is that they have 1 win from 2 matches. The Super Eagles doesn't have any. And at the moment, don't forget, let's let our viewers know that Benin Republic, they are playing Rwanda as we speak. That game is the 54th minute, and it's Benin Republic 1, Rwanda 0. If it ends that way, Rwanda will still top the table with 4 points. Benin Republic will be second with 4 points. South Africa third with 3 points, and Nigeria will stay in third with 2 points. That tells you why we must win tomorrow, because anything that doesn't make us win tomorrow will give South Africa the edge, knowing that now they can just do everything they can to win their remaining matches. And even if the Super Eagles go on to win their game, it will be very, very difficult. They're a very compact side in midfield. We saw them at the AFCON. They're a team that can fight. They've got quality defense and they've got a fantastic goalkeeper. So South Africa will be banking on that. They're not going to get into that game respecting the Super Eagles in any way. In fact, in their local media, they are saying that there's nothing to be feared about Nigeria, that they were supposed to even win that game in Cote d'Ivoire, that it was just the lottery of penalties that saved Nigeria, that they played better. And that's the confidence they are using to bring into this game. And that's why you see they are not talking so much, except for the travel arrangements that got their FA talking with the NFF. And the NFF said, look, it's not our problem. You didn't communicate when you were leaving your country and you were cleared to land in Port Harcourt instead of Lagos. But if you talk about quality, we don't need to start calling out the players now. We've said it time and time again that for us to develop our football, there are some countries in Africa that we need to take a look at the model that they've used. League football.
All right, welcome back. We're talking about the Super Eagles of Nigeria, and just before we went on that break, Austin was going to ask Promise, talking about the players. Do they understand the magnitude of tomorrow's game? Of course, he's in Uyo, and the importance of not losing tomorrow. So, Promise, let me just throw it at you, since you're already aware of where we're going next. How do you think the players understand the magnitude, how big tomorrow's game is, and of course, What could happen if we don't leave with 3 points?
Yeah, I think the players actually understand what it means to get a victory against the South Africans tomorrow. I've had a chat with one or two of them about the disappointing moments when I tried for the World Cup in 2006, started in 2022. They wouldn't want to. And, you know, the World Cup is that way you've got to show the best you've got in the country, and the players have to express themselves. Kelechi Iheanacho spoke earlier today. Interacted with the media, talked about the fact that this game is absolutely very important for the Eagles. And I like the calmness of the coach. Finidi George looks a little bit made these players not to be distracted by the media, has also to concentrate so much. So one cannot really pick out what the Super Eagles are planning, because they had a close and nobody was actually allowed to get in there apart from the particular session. So I'm thinking from the reaction of the players and talking to themselves, they understand the magnitude of this game and the reason they 3 points tomorrow, because anything short of that could start hoping that turn up to the party tomorrow, and that's the expectation of every Nigerian, and they understand how this is important to their career and also to the national team.
All right, so definitely a huge one. Well, Austin, we have a lot of things to talk about on the show. I don't know if you still have anything to say about the Super Eagles. I get at this point, what we could say is, I usually would say may the best team win, but there's only one team I want to win tomorrow.
I know, I mean, that's why I struggle, you know, and that's the problem. I try so hard to be neutral when talking about, you know, any sort of competition, but when it has to do with Nigeria, particularly the Super Eagles, it's so difficult. I do not understand how I can, you know, try to keep this analysis that something might just go wrong for the Super Eagles. No, everything in me that is Nigeria will slap me to reality. So that's why I couldn't say if anything can go wrong tomorrow. They just need to come out and prove a point, particularly with the way that group is. For instance, South Africa, they, after losing their first game, they had to rally to beat Benin Republic 2-1. So we beat South Africa. Let's assume that the game between Benin Republic and Rwanda ends in favor of Benin Republic now. It's even better because they both stay at 4 points. So you see how difficult it is. It's just match day 3, and I'm already doing all of this permutation. One can go crazy. That's why you just need to win these games when you play them. Pick your ticket to the World Cup and give everybody and leave our blood pressures at the recommended doctor state, so that it just start. It's difficult here. I mean, so yeah, if you want us to move with this now, let's just end it. I only just keep monitoring the game between Benin Republic and Rwanda and update our viewers. But my message to the Super Eagles: beat South Africa, beat Benin, and breathe easy.
Yeah, they should. I don't like using calculators. I don't want to use calculators. Let's not do this. And also talk about keeping blood pressures at the recommended levels. Please don't make us start going to the hospital. All right, let's talk about this, the Falconets. Of course, we already know the draw has been done. They've been drawn in Group D, a very tough group, I must say. So let's just quickly look at not just the Falconets, other African representatives as we look forward to Colombia 2024, the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup. I'll go across and reel out the teams in the groups. Special emphasis on African representatives. All right, in Group A, you have one representative of the continent. So you have Colombia, the host, Australia, Cameroon, and Morocco. That's in Group A. In Group B, you have France, Canada, Brazil, and Fiji in Group B. Then we'll go to Group C. We'll talk about Group C. Of course, an African representative in Group C. You have Spain, the United States, Paraguay, and Morocco. Then in Group D, Germany, Venezuela, Falconets, that's Nigeria, and South Korea in Group D. Then Let's move on in Group E. Japan, New Zealand, Ghana, and Australia. Of course, Ghana flying the flag of Africa. And in Group F, in spite of all the issues with politics, they don't joke with sports. North Korea in Group F, of course, with Argentina, Costa Rica, and the Netherlands, of course, making it 24-team. It's a 24-team tournament for the first time. The good thing about this is that the top 2 teams qualify. 4 best losers will also get through to the next round. So we'll see what happens. I particularly don't like that we're in the same group with the Germans, but anyway, it's all football. Your thoughts on this one? We've come close twice, promise. And so, what are you expecting? If you've come close twice, you've lost to Germany twice, you would expect that there will be a day you do better than coming second.
Yeah, absolutely. There will always be a day you can do better than finishing second. But I'm of opinion that this particular age group tournament for our female team is very important towards building a very strong female team the Falcons. So it's pretty important, and no attention should be paid to this. I expect the girls to do better and come out of this group. Even if they don't get to finish top of this group, they should finish second to qualify. I'm hoping that they can get to an advanced stage of this competition, probably try to see what they can do, maybe get to the semis. If they get to the semis, I think now for me that will be very satisfactory. But at the same time, I'm not really looking at this competition for us to win. It is an opportunity for us to breed the sort of talents that in the next 5 years, in the next 8 years, in the next 3 years from now, that a set of players we actually expect to take over from the current Falcons and perhaps do better for the country in the years to come. So I'm really positive that aside winning this tournament or maybe getting to the semifinals, we should try and hone the skills of these players using this tournament to prepare them for the future.
All right. Also, let's talk about something that appears like an irony somewhat. In those days, age grade used to be very close at senior level. Talking about comparison between Nigeria and those developed, those nations in the top level football playing nations. But there's some sort of irony now. At the senior level, it appears to have closed the gap. But at the junior levels, it looks to me, I may be wrong, but it looks to me like some things are evident, the gaps are showing. But at senior level, maybe because our players are played in the same leagues as all of those other players, it's not as obvious as it used to be. So what do you think is responsible for that shift somewhat?
It's grassroots football development. It's what it is. I mean, particularly at this level, I keep telling football administrators in Nigeria, the focus shouldn't be on winning. The focus should be on building. I've had this argument a lot of times, and people say at the under 20 level, you should be building. No, you should be winning. Okay, I agree. You should be winning. It's good. But you win, and then 4 years later, 6 years, even 10 years later, we are looking for the best player out of that competition where you won the under 20 tournament. That's not what we want. With women's football, we've said it, and everyone that follows this show can tell that we love women's football. We promote the league. We're always calling out our leaders to, make sure that what they do for the men, they do for the women. But we are ignoring that base, that foundation. It has to be solid. It has to be progressive, and you don't have to abandon it. Let's take, for instance, the growth Asisat Oshoala made from the junior level. Go back and see how competitive it was for her at that young age with league football in Nigeria. We were doing so well. Someone will come at me now and say, yes, we'll have a league. But what sort of attention are we giving to it? What sort of investment have we pumped into it? And again, hear me, because we know we're going to qualify. We know that we have the talents. So somebody is trying not to do more. No, you see, sometimes it might even look easy to win, but to keep winning is difficult. That's why we're seeing these gaps. It's closing. It started with the men. It's gradually coming to the women now, because even if you look at it, the last qualifiers for the Olympics, we were both on this show, and we saw what South Africa did to us. It was Navy. Against Cameroon, it was Navy. Even against Ethiopia, it was Navy. It is closing because these guys, they are looking at Nigeria and they're saying, maybe the model that Nigeria had back in the day, they've abandoned it. So let's go and clean it up and start using it. So the answer to that is grassroots football development. Go back to the schools. If the foundation is destroyed, what can the righteous do? And by the way, go back to this draw. It's a very difficult group. Nobody should jump at. I like the positivity coach Christopher Danjuma has been giving. Is very important when you're expecting a draw. But there is Germany in there. Germany and the United States of America at this level, at the under 20 level, are the biggest winners. They've won 3 times. Do you know who is next? It's Korea Republic. And there is Germany and Korea Republic in that group D with Nigeria. So you see how tricky it is, and you know how we struggled with Germany at this competition. So now it's already too late, because what can you do now? But we can do a lot in pumping the mentality of these girls, in letting them understand that when you win, it presents more opportunities to develop women's football, particularly at that level. So yes, Yemi, we need to go back to the basics, do the right things, and keep doing those things to stay relevant.
All right. So let's leave it at that and move on the show. I'll quickly take you through the Federation Cup results, then I'll yield to Austin to talk about the Euros, because it's upon us. Let's quickly take a look at the Federation Cup results. We'll talk extensively about that tomorrow, but today, let's just look at the results because of time. There you go. Of course, we talked about the top flight teams. We said they were going to cancel themselves out, but they're saying no, we're still in this. All right. So EFCC and Kebbi United couldn't be separated after regulation time. So via penalty, Kebbi United is through to the next round. El Kanabia Warriors defeated Inter Lagos 2-1. They're through to the semis. Abia Warriors and Sokoto United played a 1-0 draw in regulation time. After penalties, Abia Warriors emerged winners 5-4 on penalties. Of course, Sunshine Stars and Kano Pillars, similar result in regulation time. And at the end of the day, of course, Kano Pillars winning 5-3 on penalties. All right. So because of these results, we now have semi-final appearance. We know the teams that will lock horns in the semi-final. So let's quickly see what's going to happen in the semis of the Federation. Kebbi United will take on El Kanemi Warriors. Abia Warriors will take on Kano Pillars. So it means one top flight team will be in the final. One team from the NNL will be in the final. So all the predictions we had thrown into the bin. So we're going to have one Premier League team in the final, and of course one team in the NNL surely will be in the final. They're going to cancel each other out. Okay, let's travel abroad now and talk about the 2024 European Championship. And let's tell you, it's just 8 days to go. We started our countdown on this show. We're letting you know 8 days to go. There you have it, 8 days to the European Championship. And of course, all the coaches have the deadline of Saturday to release their squad. And for England, we're already having an idea. Of course, 7 players will be dropped. A few players have already been, a few players have already been told they will not be making the squad. In focus today is Group A that has Slovenia, Denmark, Serbia, and England. And of course, you have Group D, Belgium, Slovakia, and Romania, and of course, Ukraine. Also, let me yield to you quickly before we go back to promise. You talked about England, that's where you are, and a lot of things have been said. You talked about Jack Grealish being dropped. A lot of people also thought the Newcastle man should have been in there somewhat, but he gets dropped as well. His name escapes me now. A guy came from Leicester. He's in Tottenham now. also dropped. A lot of people felt it could have made a difference in our squad.
James Maddison, yeah. So people are saying that, look, the midfield isn't as experienced as it should be, but I think Gareth Southgate is ready to take risk with this team. And I always tell people who understand project management, you don't just list the risk. You need to put costs to those risks. So Gareth Southgate needs to know that, look, for instance, you don't have Jordan Henderson. Now you've dropped James Maddison. There's no Jack Grealish. There's no Harry Maguire. Aside maybe Harry Kane, I'm struggling to see experience in this team. I told you at the start of the show that Kobe Mainoo is the youngest player in the squad at just 19. There's also Watson, who came from Blackburn and blew up this season with Crystal Palace, and he's just 20. So there's something this guy is willing to do. But I tell you this, local media right here in England, they're saying to Gareth Southgate, no excuses. If you can make it to the finals in the last edition, then you should be competing to win in Germany. I don't know how he's going to do it, but he has announced his squad. Let's listen to Gareth Southgate. He's speaking on England's final squad for Euro 2024.
All of the players took the news really respectfully. Of course, all players are going to believe they should be in, and that's why they're top players, because they have that self-belief and they have that mindset as well. But the fact is, we've got some players who have been playing extremely well all season in the league, and we just feel other players have had stronger seasons, and particularly in the last 6 months or so. I think we saw some fantastic performances the other night that underlined some of that, and the attacking areas of the pitch in particular, we're blessed with a lot of options, all slightly different. Of course, Madders and Jack both give us something different as well. So there have been tough calls. There have been calls that we've gone over and over and over as a group of staff to try to be fair, to try to get the right rationale, and we back our decisions, but we recognise we could have gone a different route, and both of the boys are big characters, fabulous teammates, great boys to work with. So yeah, sad to have to deliver that news to them.
England manager Gareth Southgate, and as a manager, he needs to justify the squad that is taking to Germany. Let me quickly bring in Promise Etim into this conversation. Promise, it's Team England, and they had a team that people call nearly, we almost did a team. And with this squad that you've seen now, do you think that will still be the narrative in Germany?
I think the Southgate has taken a huge risk, just like you said, going with these young players, relatively inexperienced. This should be the first major likes of Cole Palmer that had a fantastic season with the club. And for me, I think he's met through with players that had a spectacular season, as against the ones that didn't have so much of playing time that are vastly experienced. I'm hoping that you'll be able to get it. Actually lost playing a 4-4-2, a 4-3-3 formation, and it's got more forward. I mean, I can't really count Jude House one would be.
All right, it does appear that we're losing audio from Promise there. But of course, it's made his point, talking about the England squad. We have just about a few minutes to wrap this up, talking about England and, of course, the announcement made by Gareth Southgate. The English squad is dropped the players that he had to drop, and we'll see a lot of people hoping that England will get to win, so that football can truly return home. Let's also quickly listen to Declan Rice. He has a thing or two to say, and of course we'll come back to wrap things up on the show.
Gareth will obviously always pick the other two players, and I'm sure whoever steps in will give 100% because we've got one aim this tournament, and that is, collectively as a group to win the tournament, of course. But to come with that in midfield, such a crucial part of it is the hard work inside of it. You can be so good on the ball, but in these major tournaments against the best sides, you need to have that, heart, grit, desire, to not want to concede goals and be savvy. And I'm looking forward to taking on that responsibility, as well as, all the other midfielders are as well. Yeah, it's been really tough. See, Madders and Jack are probably two of my best mates in the squad. Probably spent most of my time with them since I've been here. So obviously see them go is, it's not a nice feeling. But they both just said then, before they went, Madders last night, Jack just now, that they wish us all the best. They're really positive and upbeat. Obviously, they're gutted that they've been left out of the squad, but I think that's one thing that, Gareth's got spot on, is that we're so close as a group, and there's no one that's feeling really bitter about being left out. It's more about the team, and, them guys wished us all the best, as did all the others. But yeah, I'm obviously gutted. But look, in football, it's one of them things, managers have tough decisions to make, and that's part of the role that comes with it. So it's not really much I can say on that. Obviously, I'm gutted that they're gone, but they're really, really supportive of what we're about to do.
So that's it. Declan Rice, Arsenal midfielder, arguably the best midfielder Gareth Southgate will take into Germany for the Euros. Let's thank Promise Etim for his time on the show tonight. Promise, thank you so much for doing this with us. We will try to get back to you tomorrow just before kickoff, so you let us know what's going on in the camp of the Super Eagles. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Awesome. That's it. Yemi, unfortunately, we've got to go. That's the show. From me right here in London, Austin Okonakman. In everything you do, remember, let's keep talking sports. Bye for now.
All right, it's a wrap, but it's still one more edition before the week runs out. So we'll be back here tomorrow. I'll take you on a trip. And hopefully, we'll be talking about the victory for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Keep them in your heart and in your minds. And hopefully, we'll be able to say, hop, Super Eagles. That's the show. We'll see you again tomorrow. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Bye-bye now.